I understand.
That's good. Either way, you've been pardoned. And more than that, now we're fighting side by side. I don't hold any grudges against you. And I can only hope you feel the same.
The past is the past.
It is indeed.
Tell me, Angar, do you regret helping the Purity, now that you've seen their true face?
That's a hard question to answer, and you know it. On the one hand, yes, I underestimated them. On the other hand, back then, it was the only logical thing to do.
Logical?
Yes. After all, your father did in the Mage War. The people were angry, desperate, broken. The Purity channeled, and still channels these emotions. It may sound cynical to say that now, but if it hadn't been for the Purity of Light, something far worse might have happened.
I see your point. The needs of...
Precisely. But that is not to say that my decision to give the Purity of Light that much power came easy. I'm not free of self-doubt and empathy, Tahar, even though it may seem that way to you.
However, I will not lie. Mages are a problem, and something needs to be done about them. If we don't, it is only a matter of time until a second Isamo Tahar will appear and once again plunge the world into chaos.
We need a group that represents mages. Then treaties could be...
That is an interesting idea. But before we can decide on any course of action, we need to deal with the current threat first. But to return to your question, all I did was take every factor into consideration and decide accordingly. You did the same, more than once. I've heard of the trail of destruction you've left behind on your journey. Many people died under your command.
We tried to help wherever we could.
I believe you. But have no doubt that there are many who don't. What I'm trying to say is, there might have been a better way to handle things, but I did not see it. I did what I could, and even though it turned out to be a mistake, I have no regrets.
You said that you have an idea on how we can get more allies.
Yes, I do. It's someone you're already familiar with. At least, according to your friend Irian. The Iron Falcons.
You want to convince them to join our troops?
Not all of them, obviously. The Field Dog are an even greater threat than the Purity, even if most people nowadays have almost forgotten about them. What I suggest is that we strike a bargain with them. They give us a small division of their elite keepers, and we provide them with twice the amount of footmen and maybe engineers to make up for it.
Engineers and infantry for a handful of knights. Is that really worth it?
It is. The Falcons aren't only excellent fighters. Their presence will also inspire our soldiers. They're living legends.
All right. It's worth a try. When do we set out?
Whenever you want. Thanks to these Godstones, it won't take us long to get there. So I'm not expecting this mission to cost us more than a day, 2 at most. We should probably take some troops with us, just in case the camp...
Fair enough.
Good.
Tahar, it is good to see that you have recovered. This place and these people.
They did?
Yes. The Lord Marshal tried to assume control, but as you might have expected, he did not have everybody's support. I was even fearing an internal power struggle, and I'm glad it did not come to that. I must say, Tahar, your mother, she is remarkable. I have always wondered what the Shapers look like, and now I do. It is fascinating, though I suppose this is a difficult topic for you. Forgive me if my words were inappropriate.
It's all right.
Good. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Yes? What is it?
So, Undergast, when you told me about your split with Lena, I got the feeling that you were more than just colleagues.
You are asking if we were in love. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Then let me start by telling you that the term love is undefined and that theories about it conflict one another. I have read a lot of books on it, and I've studied the poems, and I've come to the conclusion that it is ultimately a primitive, carnal urge that people have come to romanticize for the emotions that come with it. I, myself, never felt it, and maybe that was because I saw the underlying mechanisms. I always found it strange how people overreact so strongly to such a simple emotion, and maybe that very fact stopped me from being able to feel these emotions at all.
Well, what are the underlying mechanisms?
The desire to reproduce with a fitting mate. In fact, the orcs have a very dry, rational view on this process, but for some reason humans, dwarves, and elves do not.
Love is more than just...
Well, most people would agree with you, and I'm certain that in your subjective experience it is.
So, what you're saying is that you were never able to feel love, but then Lena came along and you did.
No, it was not that simple. What stood out in our relationship was that we connected. I've never felt that before. You see, Tahar, to me, the bonds people have always felt peculiar, and I am not like Yana. Her mind simply does not have the ability to feel these bonds anymore. She had them once, but then she lost them, as she became a dreamweaver. My brain is capable of feeling these things, but I am unable to connect with the outside world. I only have my own mind as a frame of reference. For example, when a person tells you yes, whereas he or she means no, you might be able to feel this discrepancy because you're able to empathize with her. I can't. To me, this person's distress would make no sense whatsoever. But then there was Lena. For some bizarre reason, she understood me and I understood her. Or at least, I thought that I did. It was as if this barrier, this shell that separates my mind from others, was pervious to her emotions. I know how strange it sounds, and I also have no explanation for why this was, yet it changed me. All at once, I felt connected. Do you know this feeling, Tahar? You have traveled with these people for quite some time now. Is there anyone you are, well, fond of?
Well, yes, there is.
I see. Then you probably know how distracting such a feeling can be. To be honest, when I first became aware of that bond between Lena and me, I was horrified. I could not focus anymore. When I sat down to write my studies, I realized after hours that none of what I had written made sense at all.
What did Lena make of all that?
Nothing. Unlike me, she did not try to analyze, to understand its origin. At the same time, she did not discourage me from pondering. I believe this is what made our relationship unique. Complete acceptance. She did not try to tell me how I should behave or feel, and neither did I. Even when she decided to leave the guild and I decided to stay behind, we both accepted each other's decisions.
Your inability to relate to others, is it?
Yes. If it were not, I might have considered my sudden connection to Lena as a symbol of overcoming. But it was not. Even though I felt connected to Lena, I was still unable to feel the same way towards others. This is what deeply confused me.
Am I right to assume that your relationship ended with your disagreement over the Creators Guild abandoning its neutrality?
No, you misunderstand. We never had a relationship. Although the feelings were mutual and we, acted on them, we never felt the need to bind ourselves to some close-minded societal construct. But yes, you are correct. It was the disagreement that broke our bond. Quietly, she left and never returned again.
What, so you didn't even argue? I have a hard time imagining that.
As I said, acceptance of one another's nature and decisions was a pivotal element in our interactions. Though I did notice that my unwillingness to follow her on her mission caused her more emotional distress than she usually would have felt. You see, if there ever was a disharmony between us, it was when she tried to encourage me to embrace the world, as she put it. She told me that both I as a person and my studies would benefit from more first-hand experience.
Such as?
Well, anything. Traveling, studying the Tsarlanfet ruins first-handed, even visiting the city of Everlight every once in a while. She seemed to think that it could help me get a better understanding of the world. But again, she never tried to force me. I could tell that my unwillingness upset her, but, like always, she showed acceptance.
Do you feel, I don't know, betrayed?
Betrayed? No. By betrayal, people usually mean when someone behaves contrary to what they agree on, or, more often than not, as they would like that person to behave. I always found the word to be very misleading. Desires, wishes, and urges are natural things, and I always found the usage of such heavily judgmental words to be very childish. Lena did what she thought was right, and so did I. I have not and will never blame her for that.
How do you feel about this?
That is a good question. I still think about her, almost every day. But the more time passes, the more this entire episode starts to feel like a vague, distant dream, the way an elder must feel about youth. I do not know how I would feel if I ever saw her again.
I can imagine. Well, thank you for trusting me.
You have nothing to thank me for. If this conversation helped you get a better picture of me, But there is one more thing I would like to ask you, Tahar.
Tell me.
Do you have regrets? Do you ever feel as if you could and should have acted differently than you did act?
No.
Impressive. You see, I've never told you this, but I find your resilience to be remarkable.
How so?
Well, it is no secret that you have endured a lot of pain, especially your early childhood must have made a mark on your psyche. But still, you did not give up.
Well, I'm doing...
I can see that. Either way, I think we have spent enough time talking.
We should. So long, Undergast.
So you made it after all. Not bad.
You didn't think I would?
No. That sleep you were in, I didn't feel that there was any life left in you. But then again, you always were damn hard to kill to begin with. That new energy inside you, though, that's a different story.
So you can feel it?
That's like standing in front of a bonfire and being asked if you can feel the heat. Yes, Tahar, I can. Anyway, in case you're here to ask, we're staying.
So, you'll help me fight the Purity?
You make it sound as though this thing is somehow your responsibility. It isn't. That fanatic, with his idiotic stories of the All-Father's return, is out for all of us. Especially the orcs, or the other members of the dark races. So yeah, the Fire Wielders will stay.
That's good news. Thanks, Gore.
Don't mention it. Anything else?
Corporal? Need anything?
Goodbye.
Careful.
Huh?
Regarding this...
I want to talk about it. I'm not supposed to, but... Zarek's fangs is just so silly. I feel like a damn child.
Gore, just...
Right. Before becoming a shaman, every disciple has to go through a trial. The Iron Trial, as it's called. I told you that I did most of my training in solitude, didn't I? That wasn't true. 5 years after I entered disciplehood, another orc was accepted by my elder. A female named Rain. She was 2 years younger than me.
How did you get along?
Well, at first, I was a complete dick to her. I was jealous and feared for my position. However, she never took offense by it. She fired back at me when I got childish, but at the same time never lowered herself to my level. As the years went by, we became friends. And no, there was no courting or mating involved, if that's what you're thinking. She was more like a sister to me, and one who, unlike my true kin, understood me. Those years in the Orcish steppes, they were special. We spent days, weeks out in the wild, doing whatever our elder tasked us with. And though it was hard, there was beauty in that. We just had this connection between us, this trust.
But something happened, am I right?
Yeah, the trial did. The sacred test every disciple has to take before he or she can become a shaman. Our elder sent us both at the same time, which was unusual. But of course I was relieved. There was plenty of talk about the Iron Trial, and I was scared.
What did you know about the trial?
Rumors. Shamans are forbidden to talk about it. But it was known that only half of those who take it.
So what happened?
Zarek's fangs. I can't believe I'm telling you this. I'm breaking my oath.
For what it's worth, I'll keep...
I know you will, Tahar. Otherwise we wouldn't... We weren't told much about the trial. Only that we'd have to venture to a cave, far up in Barga Gore. They also didn't tell us how to get there. Only that Zarek would guide us. And he did. After a week of traveling, we found it. It was a strange place, Tahar. I saw that right from the beginning. The entrance looked like a mouth. The rocks surrounding it like the bones of an old forgotten beast. And the stalagmites like hundreds of teeth. But of course, we went in. We had to.
What did you find?
A giant hall. It was as mesmerizing as it was unsettling. There were murals and carvings all over the cave walls. Old glyphs that I'd never seen before.
Interesting.
Nothing. That's what baffled me. Apart from those murals, The hall was completely empty. And for some reason, the ground in that hall was completely smooth, like polished stone. There were braziers, one in each corner of the hall, and they were burning brightly. Rain was as confused as I was. But, nonetheless, we entered the hall. And that's when the trouble began. Because all of a sudden, the exit was gone. No magical noise, nothing. Just in that moment when we looked the wrong direction, it disappeared. And instead of it, we were looking at another wall.
Strange. What did you do?
Well, after we calmed down a little, we assessed our situation. We figured that this was the Iron Trial, and that it was our task to find another exit. So we started looking. But it was pointless. There was nothing. We couldn't even hear the wind anymore. For the next 14 days, we were trapped. We couldn't make that wall disappear, and no matter how long we studied the glyphs, how long we prayed, nothing happened. On the 5th day, our provisions had come to an end, save for half a skin of water and a handful of jerky. On the 8th day, it was all gone.
Blazes. How did you survive?
I'm getting there. As you can imagine, the thirst was the worst. It drove us mad, and we searched every corner of that goddamn hall for just a drop of water. Not that we hadn't looked before, but as you know, hope dies last. Have you ever had thirst, Tahar? Real thirst?
Yes.
Then you know what it feels like. On the 11th day, Rain and I were puking our guts out. Our skin had literally started to crack, and I felt as if I was burning from within. On the 12th day, we were only an inch from death. That's when the dream came.
A dream?
Yes, a shared dream, almost like a vision. We were still in that hall, Rain and I, but we were out of our bodies, floating, like. Then I saw what was different. The floor was full of blood, and that blood was burning. The murals and glyphs had started moving, twisting, like shadows dancing on a wall. That's when I first understood what they were depicting. For some reason in the real world...
What did they depict?
It showed what was expected from us. What we had to do to... Sorry this isn't easy. I've dreamed about those weeks ever since. But telling someone... it feels bizarre.
If this is too hard for you...
Nonsense. I started so I might have... Zarek demanded a fight. Either one of us died by the hands of the other, or we would die there together. The Iron Trial. We were never both meant to pass.
So you fought each other?
No. Trial or not, I would have rather died than done that. And that's precisely what I told Rain. A god that demands a man to kill his own sister is not a god that deserves worship by anyone. But Rain wouldn't have it. She claimed that if both of us died, both of our lives would be wasted for nothing. I got angry and asked her if she meant that she wanted to fight me. She said no.
I don't understand.
She wanted me to kill her. She told me that she was already too weak to make it down the mountain anyway, but that I could still make it. Believe me, Tahar, if there had been any strength left in me, I would have punched her just for suggesting it.
And yet, you're here.
I am. I should have known before she even did it. She always had to have it her way, no matter the price. It happened when I was asleep. She took my dagger from its sheath, put it into my hand, and drove it through her throat without hesitation. When I opened my eyes, her blood was already all over my face. And as if Zarek had been watching all along, the wall disappeared. No noise. Just like that. The wind was back, and it was raining outside. The first time in months. I like to think that she saw it before she died.
Did you make the descent?
I did. There were berries in a mountain goat that had been hit by a rock slide, right next to the exit. It was so absurd I almost had to laugh. When I got back to the Elder's shack, I screamed at him, then broke down and started to cry. He just listened. In the end, he told me that we had both known what had been at stake. Yet we agreed. Choice and consequence. He made me a shaman the next day.
I see.
There's one more thing. Remember when you asked me why I feel the way It's Rain who made me realize that. Most orcs would have fought each other in that cave, to the death. But she didn't. Instead of submitting to her primal instincts, she made a sacrifice. One that I could have made too, if I hadn't been such a coward. Blazes, it feels strange to have told you all this. But, I don't regret it.
Well, thanks for trusting me with this, Gore.
Let me have some time for myself right now, all right? I need to think. Huh?
You said you know where we can find...
Yes, I'll make it short. The Ash Reavers have invaded the foot of Barga Gore. If we defeat them and their leader, like we defeated Krell, their soldiers will join.
The Ash Reavers? I'm guessing that...
Yes, you already met them, back at Farland's Hope. They are a very violent tribe. A lot like what Krell wanted the Fire Wielders to become. And they are nomads. They never stay in one place for more than a couple of moons, which is why their city is basically a movable fortress.
So, we head back to Barga Gore and...
Well, yeah. Except for one thing. Kagan, the Ash Reavers chieftain. I think this invasion is about more than gaining new territory. It's personal. He despises me, and that's putting it lightly.
Why? Because you killed Krell?
No. It's more complicated than that. Do you remember the story about my trial? About Rain?
Yeah, I do. You took the Shapeshifter's trial together, and she sacrificed herself so that you could live.
Yeah, she did. To get to the point, Kagan is Rain's true brother. To this day, he thinks that I killed her.
I see.
It must be. Bloodthirsty as the Ash Reavers are, there is no reason for them to start a war with the Fire Wielders, especially now that we unify them. He must have heard that I'm behind this. In other words, we need to stop him, and as fast as possible. According to one of my sources, the Purity is also planning to start an attack on Barga Gore. The Fire Wielders should be able to hold them at bay, but not if they have to wage war against the Ash Reavers at the same time.
So what's the plan? Return to Bar...
If all else fails, yes. We will kill him. For the sake of my people, and for our cause. But he's Rain's last living kin. So I want to first try reasoning with him instead. There must be a way that I didn't kill him.
All right. I'll tell you...
Yes. Chieftain Czar already left before you woke up to get an idea of the situation. I know time is sparse, but we should leave as soon as possible. And thank you, Tahar. I appreciate it.
Huh?
Another one. How often do you want me to tell you? I'm not a spy, and I'm not with Purity.
Wait! You're their leader, aren't you? Corporal...
Yes?
Well, then maybe you can tell these fools to let me go. Blazes, I knew it was stupid to take that job.
So, who are you?
As I told this bloody brute who captured me, I'm just a courier. And someone paid me to deliver a message to a... I had no idea it was the Corporal Tahar. And had I known, I would have told that guy who gave me the job to sod off.
Who was it?
He was wearing a hood, so he obviously didn't want to be recognized, but he had a brown beard, was about your height, and had... I don't know how to put it, a certain sadness in his eyes.
But he didn't look dangerous and paid good coin. So I took it.
Finally, someone who asks. Yes, it's in my coat pocket, and no, there's no poison in there.
Let me see. A meeting in Everlight. From a friend.
A friend, you see? Can I go now?
I'll think about it.
What the... Blazes, what's wrong?
As I said, I'll think about it.
As if I had a fucking choice.
Here we are again. At least with the Bloodburn gone, the undead should be less of a problem now.
What do you mean?
The Bloodburn didn't just kill the living, it also woke the dead.
Interesting. Well, let's head to the fortress. I'll do the talking once we get there.
Is it just me or is it a little too quiet here?
You're right. Stay sharp.
No! For Aeonir!
It's over already.
Fair enough. Let's do this.
I'll keep you shielded.
Get ready.
Tiara's breath. Bane?
But why? Aenir's blade is a wasteland. And faith aside, doesn't he need the field dark protected as much as we do?
Maybe he's even more deranged than we thought. In any case, we should hurry. If the Falcons are under attack, things are worse than we feared.
I'm telling you, you're going to regret this.
Did I ask you for your opinion? No? Then shut the fuck up.
Tiara's breath. Thank you.
Well, you're safe now. What happened here? And who are you?
Ralph. Ralph Adony. I'm a mentalist from the Creators Guild in Everlight. The Deathmen and the Bane. They've invaded the canyon, and they are besieging the Falcon Fortress as we speak.
Blazes. That's not good.
And what about you? What are you?
Long story. I think Scalalena is better fit to tell you. We have a camp in the southeast of the canyon. I'll go there right now. You're free to join me if you want.
One more question. Who are we up against? Deathman and Bane?
Mostly, yes. Lucky for us, the Purity hasn't sent any Lightbringers yet. And of course, they're still undead. But not as many as before, when the Bloodburn was still a thing.
Hang on there. What about the Falcons? Where are...
Oh, yes. Most of them have withdrawn into the fortress, including Highkeeper Aranor. But there are some survivors in their old encampment south. I don't know if you've heard it, but there was quite the drama here, only...
Yeah, I know the story. All right.
Huh. I'll do...
If the fortress is under siege, that camp is probably a good place to make contact with the Falcons.
Agreed. Once we have a better idea of the situation, we'll send word to our forces. Got it. Blazes. They devastated this place.
As I said, Aranor's distrust in the Deathmen was justified.
Hold it right there. One step further and I'll...
Put the knife away, boy.
Excuse me, who are you? Wait, Lord Marshal Arendir? But they told us you fell in the Battle of Greykeep.
Who? The Bane? The Deathmen? Don't believe everything you hear, boy. Now put down that weapon.
Of course. My apologies, Lord Marshal. I meant no offense.
Who is... Wait. You're the one who helped to free the fortress, aren't you? And Lord Marshal Arendir, you're... Tiara's breath. I'm Watcher Joanne. Forgive...
No harm done. Now, tell us what happened.
In the fortress. That whole mess, it happened a week ago. We were still recovering from the undead attack a moon ago, and we thought the Deathmen were gone for good. They completely took us by surprise, like bloody amateurs. We just barely managed to drive them.
We? But you're here, aren't you?
Yes, well, that's a different story. The 6 of us, we were tasked with guarding the catapult. When those screaming Bane fanatics attacked by the dozens, we got... I don't know, scared. We ran.
No reason to be ashamed. You're no good to—
That's Sellsword's thinking. A keeper of the Iron Falcon shouldn't run away like that. Yet we all did.
Well, self-pity doesn't help either. We need to act. You said the Bane and the Deathmen are besieging the fortress. How big of an army are we talking?
A large one. They are only a fraction of their respective forces, but together, they will—
Well, then I think it's time. Our old outpost. Is it still there?
I think the Deathmen burned it to the ground, but it...
Good. What then?
Well, obviously the most important thing is to prevent the Deathmen from breaking through the fortress. But a head-on ambush would be
Then what do you suggest?
I suggest a two-way route. We support Highkeeper Aranor in the fortress and simultaneously weaken the enemy. Also, Averett may not look like it, but he's actually a skilled Arya Smith. If you get us the material, we can equip your war—
What about Gifford?
Yes, true. He might also be able to help. If they didn't kill him yet.
I understand. But how—
Well, they've been trapped in the fortress for over a week, and our provisions were already low back then. If we manage to smuggle resources inside, then it may help them to regain their strength. There's a small hole in one of the northwestern walls, just next to the catapult. If we secure that sector, we can drop resources into—
Solid plan. Then let's get—
Yes. And with your permission, we will join you. We've been hiding for too long. It's time to make these bastards pay.
Our provisions are running low. We need more food. Commander, we've finished researching a new technology.
Chop chop, man. Let's get to work. That should work. She's the fastest we have. So little time. This will be a masterpiece.
I'll take a look.
Who are they? They don't look like Bane.
Well, well. So you're the ones Ralph was talking. Who are you?
I'm Tahar. Maybe you've heard about me.
Oh, the prodigal child. Yes, of course. Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise. So, why are you and these mages—
Simply put, because we want to make a difference. I'm Lena, second scholar of the Creators Guild. Or was, that is. I guess they crossed out my title after. Why exactly are we here in Aenir's Blade? That's a story to fill books with, but I'll make it short. Because some of us were tired of sitting on our supposedly safe little island in Everlight and watching while mages are being slaughtered. We spent the past year helping wherever we could, but it was a misty war, so to speak. You couldn't tell your enemies from your allies. However, since the Kane has gone crazy, things got easier. So now we're fighting the Purity.
But why here, in Aenir's Blade?
Ever heard of Yura's Ring?
Help me out.
In the first battle with the Field Darg, there was a mage named, you guessed it, Yura. She is one of the main reasons why Io is— The ring, however, is still here, buried thousands of armlets beneath the sand.
How? It would take years to dig that deep.
Good thing we aren't planning to dig. In the past moons, I prepared a ritual. Telekinesis, if that strikes a chord. However, which brings me to my next question.
Let me guess, you want—
Indeed, but I don't expect you to. So let us make a bargain. If you help us retrieve the ring, I'll convince some of our mages to help you in your battle. Frankly, your arm—
Sounds fair.
Actually, it's quite simple. We will teleport ourselves to the ritual grounds and await you there.
That's simple enough. All right.
Thank you.
Building completed. We need to gather more wood, Commander.
Corporal?
Well then. All right then, let's get to it. This will be a masterpiece. So much to do, so little time.
Expansion is the key to victory.
The outpost has been built. We've expanded our borders.
Chop chop, man. Let's get to work. This will be a masterpiece. Well then. So much to do, so little time.
Building completed. We need to gather more wood, Commander. Building completed. Building completed.
This will be a masterpiece.
Understood.
Building completed.
Tiara's breath. What are you people doing here? This is a war zone.
Well, that's why we're here.
You are? Well, at least you look like you can handle yourself.
We can. What are...
We were out on a mission when the attack happened. We tried to get back and help our brothers and sisters, but as you can imagine, we are too few to take these purity bastards head on. So we stuck to the mission instead.
What mission?
The Death Men. They sent a group of necromancers before they launched their attack. I think they're trying to control the undead, but they're strong. Too strong.
Then let's attack together.
Yes, that might work. Fine, let's make a bargain. You help us deal with these necromancers, and we'll lend you our maces. I'm assuming you're planning to free the fortress, too.
Of course.
Perfect. We will not let you down.
It will be bloody. I'll make it quick. They won't stand a chance. Prepare yourselves.
Fine. More fighting. Does this never end? I'll keep you shielded. Danger up ahead.
That's it. They're done raising the undead.
Commander?
Let me see.
That should work. So much to do, so little time. All right, then, let's get to it.
Building completed.
Sounds like a plan.
I understand.
They will fall.
All right, here goes nothing. Fair enough. Let's do this.
They won't stand a chance.
Here we go. All right, give me a second.
The outpost has been built. We've expanded our borders.
get to it.
Building completed. Building completed.
This will be a masterpiece. That should work. So much to do, so little time. This
Building completed.
masterpiece. All right, then, let's get to it. Belonging to
Building completed. Building completed.
Chop chop, man. Let's get to work. This will be a masterpiece. All right, then, let's get to it. So much to do, so little time. That's all that.
Building completed. Building completed. Building completed.
Chop chop, man. Let's get to work. Will only take a second.
Building completed.
All right, then, let's get to it. This will be a masterpiece.
Building completed.
Much to do, so little. Chop chop, man. Let's get to work.
Let's see.
Well, if this isn't good timing, we just finished preparing the spell. So are you ready? As I said, once we start, we can expect a lot of resistance.